morning. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all for coming. First, I'd like to address the question of U.S. troops remaining in Iraq post-2011. I met with Prime Minister Maliki and President Talabani last night, and they assured me that they understood our intent to abide by the security agreement to withdraw all American troops by the end of the year. I believe they also understand that time is quickly running out for us to be able to consider any other course. My government has made it clear that we would entertain a request for some troops to stay. And I was encouraged to learn last night that Iraqi leaders plan to meet to discuss the merits of such a request. I remain hopeful, therefore, that we will soon achieve some clarity. And I'm grateful that serious attempts to resolve the issue are now underway. In the meantime, we will continue withdrawing our troops on schedule. To do otherwise would be to violate both the agreement we signed and Iraqi sovereignty itself. Regrettably, not every one of Iraq's neighbors is so committed. The Iranian regime continues to violate Iraq's sovereignty by intervening in Iraqi social and political affairs, training and equipping militants to conduct attacks on Iraqi soil, and thwarting efforts by the Iraqi people to pursue unfettered and economic growth, development, and independence that geography and democracy have bestowed upon them. These are hardly the acts of a friend. It is clear that Tehran seeks a weak Iraq and an Iraq more dependent upon and more beholden to a Persian worldview. I do not know how many Iraqis share Tehran's maleficent goals. I suspect there are a few. I believe most Iraqis wish to determine for themselves their own future and to define for themselves their own perspectives about the world around them. That's plainly evident to me in the willingness of the Prime Minister and of President Talabani to challenge the Iranian regime over the violence they have ordered and facilitated inside Iraq's borders. And it's evident in the stepped-up operations Iraqi security forces have been conducting against these militants in concert and coordination with our own forces. As a result, we've seen a dramatic reduction in these deadly attacks. This same spirit of cooperation was also on display yesterday afternoon as I toured a combined command center in Mosul, where Iraqi security force personnel respond to and oversee side by side with their Kurdish counterparts all security operations in Nineveh province. This was once bloody ground, fought over viciously, sacrificed for greatly by Iraqis, Americans, and others in our coalition. And today it is peaceful and prosperous and patrolled skillfully by citizens of this great country. It is a model both of Iraqi sovereignty and of the very transition to Iraqi responsibility that we've all been pursuing. I give great credit to General Babakar for his leadership in that regard, and I thank General Austin for his terrific work as well. Regardless of whether or not your government asked us to stay, regardless of whether or not my government does so if asked, we have proven together through hardship and through bloodshed that leadership can be yours and should be yours alone. Nothing changes about my military's dedication to that goal or my nation's dedication to furthering our long-term strategic partnership. We have given over thousands of our young lives to achieve it, as have you. It is time now not to finish the work, but to continue to see it through. Shukran. I'll take your questions.
Admiral Mullen for Sean Rao, AFP. In your talks with Prime Minister Maliki and President Talabani, did you give them any specific time frame in which a decision needs to be made? Obviously, Ramadan is starting, and are you hopeful that a decision will be made over the month of Ramadan about the future of the U.S. troop presence?
I think Secretary Panetta, when he was here a couple of weeks ago, made it pretty clear that we really need a decision now, and I just reiterated that. There are certainly discussions which are ongoing, and I'm hopeful that a decision by the Iraqi leadership to enter negotiations with the U.S. is made very quickly. With respect to the forces that are here, for us, a significant part of this is just a physics problem. You get to a point in time where you just can't turn back and all the troops must leave. That's why it's so important to make the decision absolutely as soon as possible. Leo.
Mr. Chairman, can you give us a little more details about your meetings with both the President and the Prime Minister last night? And what sort of sense did you get from them? You sort of hinted some optimism, but can you tell us what makes you say that, and whether you think that there's a possibility that there will indeed be a meeting today, as they have suggested? And particularly during those meetings, did they give you any sense about even maybe the air support or any other types of troops that, if indeed something does happen, that these are the types of things we would like?
We had no discussions about what specific capabilities might be included should they get to a point where they would enter negotiations. They're very aware of the urgency of the issue. They're committed to meeting, and then I guess I would summarize both meetings from the standpoint of degree of difficulty. There's some very difficult political challenges associated, internal challenges associated with reaching this decision, and that's really obviously up to them to continue to work towards. It was apparent to me in meeting both with the Prime Minister and the President that they're anxious to resolve and reconcile those differences. But that's really up to them.
Did they suggest that they're getting any momentum?
We really didn't talk about that. It was just they're very committed to getting together and to getting to a point where they make a decision one way or the other. So.
Thanks. Does the U.S. believe that any future training mission in Iraq could involve only contractors, or would it be better to have U.S. troops involved?
The U.S. doesn't take a position on this at this point. I mean, we've got to get to the first point, which is whether we even enter negotiations, which could include the invitation on the part of the Iraqis for support and assistance and training. And then it would need to be the specifics of what that support and training would focus on. And then I think that would then drive the answer to your question about what combination of military and civilian or contractors would provide that. We're just not there yet. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Jane Araf from Al Jazeera English. Admiral, we've heard a lot about what continued cooperation with the U.S. military would do for Iraq. But can you tell us, apart from military sales, what it would do for the United States?
Well, the United States is very committed to the region. It's very committed to a strong long-term relationship and partnership with Iraq. And as is the case when we work with any country, we get to know each other better. We understand how our systems may operate together. There are exercises, training opportunities, and over a long period of time, the relationship just gets stronger and stronger.